guys, we are back with FeaR. We talked a bit about your background, how you came to be a StarCraft progamer. You told us a bit about your future plans for the next month. Now we are at Home Story Cup.
Right.
So we have to talk a bit Home Story. Unfortunately, this video, guys, will only be released, or this interview, after Home Story. So we don't know yet what will happen, who will win, but I would love to hear your predictions.
My prediction. Wait, let me think. So we have Barney against Sue coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, two favorites. We have Stefano against Parter. Mm-hmm. We had Zest against MMA. MMA is already out, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Should I just pick one, like cherry picking, or
who would you like to win?
Who I would love to see winning is Lambo, obviously.
Yeah, yes.
Lambo in a super sick shape at the moment, very good. He could actually do it. I'm pretty sure he would be able to do it. I mean, he would be deserving. Like, he has been practicing so hard. He's been over there in Korea, just like Elasa. Elasa's won. The Clash boys are kind of the same person in that way, but they both deserve it the same way. But obviously, my countryman, so gotta go with Lambo.
Yeah, I agree, man. He's really in a good shape, and I think he can. And I think he knows some of the Korean guys. Eh?
Yeah.
So then that's also tricky. Then you can maybe use some mind games. So we will see when you see this, guys. We will know what will happen. Talking about your own games yesterday, just a bit. You had a tough group. I think that's very fair and realistic to say. But how was it to play against these type of players for you? Do you see it more as a learning experience, training experience, or where did you self feel that you had a chance maybe?
Like, I came here knowing that I would not advance. Like, I was pretty certain about that, obviously. But I came in with a specific goal. The goal was to get practice in, to get competitive again before Valencia, because Valencia is obviously the more important tournament to players in that regard. So what happened pretty much in my group is that I played very decent games. They were very good. The result doesn't speak for it, but my series were all good, and I always learned out of games. And I don't really know what to say. Like, the games were really close. Every series was very close. It could have been the other way around. Like, even against Sue, I could have won a map or two. Both were very close as well. Against Drogo, I should have won a map. Against Hellraiser, I should have actually won the series. The Muslim and I had a very close series as well. It was 2-1 for him in two decently close games.
Yeah.
There was no stomp or anything.
Exactly.
All games not on the same level, but like maybe like this, you know. So it was good.
Yeah.
It was very good. It was exactly as I hoped it to be. That I would go out of the game, it would be like, that's why you do that. Like, understand something, learn something. So
could you give us an example of one thing that you, for example, learned or picked up again?
Yeah, sure. So like, not when you're at a tournament as a player, not only like playing the games is important, but obviously also talking to other players, right? So what happened is there's this one specific build from Terran which I had struggled with a lot. It's Cloak Banshee and like 2 tank push on 2 base. Like, MMA did it quite a bit. Hero Marine does it sometimes. So what happened is I talked some with Hellraiser, who's a very good player, by the way, as well, very underrated in my opinion. And he told me, like, just do this, you're gonna be fine. Like, it was, if you go Stargate, just do the Twilight before the third, pretty much. Like, get some units in, get the blink quicker. So what happens is, make sure I'm gonna try that. So I play against MMA, right? And MMA does this exact build. I scout everything, I know it, and like, I do it, and I like completely smash it. And the game was very close as well. Like, I should have won that one actually. So then what happened is, I got not nervous, but like stressed out a bit, because when you're ahead and you're used to play from behind, right? Because that's when you're like not stressed out at all, in my opinion at least. If you come in with no expectations, but if you're ahead and you know, right, now I could do something that people didn't expect me to do, right? Then you get stressed, then you get nervous. And I had a dumb decision that game. Like, I was 5 base against 3, but I was staying on 4 gases and tried to kill him, which was obviously not the smartest idea. Like, when you look back at it. So what I learned out of this specific game is like how to keep myself calm and like think. Like, usually people like to go autopilot. I do that as well because it's less stressful. But like, if you're ahead and you get nervous, just activate your brain again. Like it's not deactivated, but like actually think about your situation again and what the best would be right now. What could you die to? Where could you lose? And that's something that you kind of lose grip of once you haven't been competing for a while. That's something I don't know if it's with other players as well, but I kind of always have to relearn that. Like if I'm out for 6 months of a tournament, that's the one thing I forget, because laddering is always like autopilot. Then you check the replay and then you like save what happened, save the mistake, and fix your game plan. So then you can autopilot again until it happens again that way. So that's how I practice, at least. Because it's the least stressful and the most efficient way, I think.
Yes, okay.
If you don't care too much about winning on ladder, obviously. If you do care, it's not good. But I really don't mind losing ladder games, so I do it in that way. But like at tournaments, you always have to like rethink your situation, because the games can be very messy. The games can be not as clean. So I picked that up again. It's a very good thing to have in mind. That was amazing.
So it's yeah. Thank you so much. It's a very interesting example for me. So on the one hand, you picked up, for example, a technical thing, a build, but you also remembered yourself about the right mindset and sort of a technique how to approach a professional game in a tournament setting, in an offline setting, not to go on autopilot in certain situations. Very interesting to me, I have to say. Very challenging, I think, to practice that and to go into that. So we are approaching now the topic of StarCraft itself, the game itself. At the current meta, where do you see Protoss? Obviously, it's very simple to say and quick to say it's all imbalanced, but
no. I'm not gonna go with that.
Okay, great.
So against Terran, like the statistics are saying that Protoss is actually underpowered against Terran, but the statistics are lying a bit about that one. I feel like Terran PvT is getting fun again. Like it's not like that everything is broken like the patch before, right? You just do whatever and you accidentally aim with him to win. That's how it felt. Nowadays, Terran have a lot more builds. It's a lot more flexible, I guess. Like there's not this one build. It's not stellar. It's very fun to play for me, at least. I can't talk about the Terran vision. Like maybe they're frustrated because Protoss is still a bit too good against Terran. But PvZ, well, PvZ is actually the other way around, in my opinion, because there's this one build that Protoss can do, and there are these two mind games that Protoss can do. There's the Charge Lot Archon, the Archon drop into Charge Lots. That's pretty much the basic build, what you always want to do. And there's the two mind games. One of them, a double Stargate from Zest, like pretend it's an Archon drop, get a double Stargate, and like delays. Those are pretty much the three builds, and both of the other builds are bad if the opponent doesn't fall for the mind game. Actually, in fact, I'm not sure how good Gelaves is because I don't play it myself. I heard it's not very good as well, even if he falls for it. So it just doesn't feel flexible. Like it's not like Zerg is imbalanced or something. But if Protoss only has like one or two builds, and Zerg doesn't have to be like prepared for other stuff to come around, you know, they have their run response. They're always gonna do the same, and maybe they die to this mind game once, and then they're like, oh, okay, sure, I'm just gonna check that. Maybe I can readjust this. It's not a lot of input like they have to have. So it feels like a lot of Zergs are getting very good because of that, and people are improving because of that. Because just like a little comparison to now would be 2017 at WCS Austin. The Zergs didn't really know how to, not all of the Zergs obviously, like a lot of Zergs didn't really know how to play Hydra Bane. And Cyril comes around and he shows like this one way. You go up to 75 drones and then you take 6 gases and then just pump out Hydra Bane. So then suddenly like everyone is complaining about Zerg, right? Because they copied this one specific way. There's nothing you can do around it. It's always gonna end up there and you get rolled. Like later on we figured out how to beat it. Like nowadays we have still rough games against Hydra Bane, but it's not like you see Hydra Bane rolling you every game, right? That's not happening. So what I think is gonna happen is the maps are gonna change again. There's gonna be maybe a bit better Protoss map next time, because this pool is not that strong for Protoss at the moment, in my opinion. And in Korea they're gonna probably figure out some more builds, and then we're good to go again. At least that's my vision on it.
So the prophetic voice, you are prophesying a new meta already. Like always, I mean, like you said, it's. I think it's an organic thing. It always happens.
Yeah.
Players put in their brains, they figure out stuff. The maps have a big impact on what is happening. Is there any favorite map at the moment of yours? A map that you like a lot?
Lost and Found.
Yeah.
It's a very standard map, very typical. Nothing like this map is a bit too crazy for me. Like we have a 4-player map, we have a lot of gold bases. We have a lot of maps where people think they're actually good maps, but they're actually trash. Like Catalyst and Acid Planet. Acid Plant? Acid Plant it is.
Planned, yeah.
Both of them are kind of bad, for Protoss at least, but the other maps are so bad that we have to play them. At least that's my view on it, I think.
Just talking a bit as a player and maps, there was a bit of a discussion, or not a discussion, but I picked it up on Twitter and on Team Liquid a bit, that especially the pros are not in favor of 4-player maps.
Yeah.
And I didn't really follow the topic, but could you maybe, I'm curious about it, could you elaborate a bit why are 4-player maps bad for pro gamers?
Like the thing is, with StarCraft, like that's the best aspect about StarCraft. There's barely any RNG in StarCraft, like none, pretty much. Like you can fall for a mind game, but that's not RNG. That's just you not like predicting the right thing, right?
Yeah.
But scouting paths are complete RNG. Like if do you go this way, do you go this way, and then it's cross, right? So what happens is that it just creates weird games for pro gamers because like you're scouting last against Zerg. There's a huge wall and he's like speeding rushing you and you lost already just because you didn't scout him first, pretty much. In PvP you scout him last, he did Nexus first, you're super far behind. In PvT, CC first, free CC, you know, stuff like that. You just can't really. Like if you would scout him first, it would actually all be fine. But if he goes for such a risky build, and you're trying to play it like standard, like typical, you know, so because you're the better player or whatever, because it's your best part of the game, right? Like doing the standard way, you can get just RNG pretty much. It can happen. If you scout last against a speedling all in, you always lose, unless you like a safety wall with like double gateway before Nexus, but then you would lose against a greedy player. So
yeah,
like we're being whiny about it because we're not used to have RNG, you know, like we're so used that the better player wins, or like
sure,
the one who planned out the series better wins, whatever you want to call better. But we're not used, or we are decently used to 4-player maps, so it just always ends up like this later. That's why we're being whiny about it. Like people are like, nobody wants change, but that's for us it's the greatest aspect. So we don't want that to go away.
Okay, that's for me actually very interesting to hear. I mean, makes sense as a pro. You want to be able to predict everything, or think out everything and map out and plan out everything. For us as viewers, I think sometimes it's nice to have some RNG.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, okay, so. Protoss, as a Protoss player, you are happy with the current meta. There's a lot of, in some matchups you said it's a bit difficult at the moment.
Yeah.
What's your worst matchup at the moment? And your best, obviously.
PvZ is my worst, PvP is my best.
PvP.
Well, Germans in PvP, name a more iconic duo.
Yeah. Cool. And looking at, taking a step back now from the game itself. So we are here at Home Story Cup. I think it's one of the last big German events with a sort of German setup. I think, in my opinion, as a fan, the German scene shrunk a bit over the last years. And how do you feel about it? Do you miss ESL series? So what's your take on it? Is there a chance to revive the German scene somehow, or is it?
Yeah, like the thing is, ESL kicked StarCraft 2 out of EPS, right? Which wasn't a decision I could get behind because. Like first of all, the reasoning was really, really weird. They said like some pro gamers told us the game is dying. So like, what pro gamer would tell you, hey, my game is dying, kick away this tournament that I'm playing, right? Nobody would do that. Like, and also their viewership because Take TV always casted it, right? Like Dennis, Take was always there, Naruto was always there, good duo to cast. They always had a very good viewership. It was like 5K, 6K, you know, for the German stream, and then I check FIFA, and FIFA has like 200 viewers. So obviously I'm a bit salty about that one. I don't get the reasoning behind it, but the thing is just like EPS, the cups, and like just getting into top 8 or top 16 has always given you a bit of money, right? So even if you're a part-time player, you would play the game for EPS because you have a tournament where you actually have a shot. Like because all the weekly cups, etc., they're like dominated by people like Snoot who are like grinding out the cups, Bly, you know. Some Koreans are even playing, even if it's on Europe. Like that has been going on for years. Like people who are like maybe like GM, right at the bottom of GM, who we had a lot of. Actually, a lot of decent German players that people don't know of, but they have a shot at making money. They're obviously gonna go for it. They have fun playing StarCraft, but I guess they don't see the necessity to play if they can't compete. So reviving EPS, and there's one change as well that has kind of messed with it. They took away the prize money from the cups. There were always 5 basic cups, right?
Yes.
So just for the viewer to explain, you would get points by the rank you finish in the cup for EPS, and to be able to play the cups, you had to play EAS, and you had to win a specific amount of games. So what happened in the last season is that they took away the prize money from the cups. That's why no pro played the cups anymore. Like they were like, because if you win one cup, you're pretty much qualified for the end of the season. But like the prize money on the cups was decent as well. Like it was like, like around 200 euros, I think, for the first place, ish, something around that. So the pros stopped playing it, and suddenly they were like, instead of like 32 players playing in every cup, there was like 10. And then obviously it declined, the interest declined. I felt like it was not ESL killing the German scene, but like the decisions they made weren't calculated well enough, and they kind of resulted into the situation that they weren't happy with anymore, and that resulted in the German scene dying out a bit. Yeah. That's how I would explain it. That's how I would approach it.
How do you feel about using war chest money to install something like that? I mean, Take has the potential, maybe Take TV, but.
Well, the thing with Take TV is, I believe if you take money from Blizzard, or I don't know about any of this, so like I'm just speculating a bit because they have region-locked WCS tournaments, right? And the Home Story Cup was a WCS event once or twice, I believe like 7, 8 around that. But back then there was no region lock, and like the charm of Home Story Cup is that Koreans are coming over. You know, you have like a nice setting here. Like Koreans try to talk some English on stream, cast a bit. You know, it's like what makes Home Story Cup, right? Like the casualty, but also like Koreans next to like people like me, whatever, you know, like sometimes some people you don't really know of that you're like getting to know on stream or in the tournament or whatever, and then like the best of the best as well. That was their charm. I don't think they can give that up for like war chest money. I believe that's how it works. I'm actually speculating on this one, so don't nail me down on it.
Sure.
But yeah, but I think like what I think about war chest money is it's very good to use, but you shouldn't waste it. Like there's one specific tournament that got a prize pool buff, where like the money you got was doubled, but the money was already really good. So what happened is that all the people who have decent prize money got even more prize money, and so what you do is you're neglecting the players below that, right? So this guy has won 300k this year. Now he's gonna win $1,000 more in this tournament instead of like giving this guy like who's like. Oh, like this is like the scene of people who make good money, right? And here you have the people who are like kind of losing money on playing, right? Because they have to pay their travel sometimes. They invest a lot of time and effort into it. So what I feel like is like the ecosystem StarCraft should focus a bit more on these people. And the obvious way to do it is national competition, I think, because you don't have like 16 or 32 very good players in one country. Maybe in Korea, sure. In Korea you could argue Korea, but like even France only has like 10 players where you'd say they could make prize money like internationally somehow if they get a good bracket. In Germany there are like 6, I would say.
Yeah.
So I feel like national competition would be an easy fix, but the focus is just too much on big prize pools for big players, in my opinion. Like that doesn't provide a good ecosystem.
Yeah, so it should trickle down more.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a topic where we as fans would profit always, like seeing more people, seeing new faces.
Yeah.
I mean, if you follow StarCraft for many years, as we do now, since the release, it's nice to see all the faces that you know, but sometimes it's also nice to see new faces.
Yeah, that's
so I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, that's one big complaint as well, like
Yeah.
that there's no like new up and comers. Like the way I get it is like that the community is afraid that once all the players now retire, there's like no one stepping up the place, right?
Exactly.
So that would fix it as well, I guess.
I agree. I mean, that's if you really want a future pro scene, you have to make it happen. And
Yeah.
I mean, okay, sure, guys like Fantasy are coming back from the military.
Yeah, but that's not like typical, right?
Yeah, not very usual or typical. Yeah. So, wrapping up a bit, we talked for 30 minutes now already, and time goes by quickly at Home Story Cup, guys.
That's very true.
And you never know what time it is.
You check the clock and it's 6 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Happened to me yesterday. Yes.
So, thank you so much for your time. I think you gave us a short but very interesting view of a young player in the context of the StarCraft scene, and you're part of the community. You're also a player, and I think people enjoy hearing the ideas of the players themselves, the background, your personal background, your challenges that you are facing, being a pro gamer and having this passion for a game, but maybe also not really able to follow it the way you want because of finances, and so it's all connected in a way. And I would like to say thank you very much for your time, for your insight and all of that. But I would like to give you obviously a chance to have your shout outs, any last thoughts, anything you would like to add.
Alright, so obviously thanks for having me. It was a great interview. Shout outs. Well, obviously, there's one shout out for you for having me.
Thank you.
One shout out to the whole crew here. The whole crew is amazing. They're putting so much effort into it. They've been working their butt off pretty much to make everything of this possible, to make it as nice as possible, facing a lot of challenges. Shout out to Naruto for the invite. He's always been inviting me. A very good guy, very good friend of mine. And shout out to my sponsors and my team for sending me.
Where can people follow you?
I usually only post on Twitter, so at SC2FeaR.
Great. I will post it again, as always, in my YouTube channel also, and on Team Liquid, so people can follow you on Twitter. Thanks so much. All the best. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. See you soon.